In the news tonight, is this the final straw in the SODELPA falling out?
It's a new day.
Fijians rush in for the jab. And what to do with vaccine side effects.
From the studios of FBC Suva, Edwin Nunn.
Bulawanaka, Fiji. The continuing infighting within the Social Democratic Liberal Party is not showing signs of ending anytime soon. This afternoon, SODELPA President Ratu Epenisa Thakumbau telling vocal MP Linda Tambuya to shut up or ship out. Tambuya not taking this lying down, saying Ratu Epenisa and leader Viliamenga Woka need to exit the party. Lina Rees reports.
The continuing squabble never seems to end, as this time SODELPA's top brass is accusing Linda Tambuya of not being loyal to the party. While Tambuya maintains she is committed to SODELPA, Ratu Epenisa says her actions indicate she is intending to leave. The party president stresses that if Tambuya chooses to remain with SODELPA, then she is to refrain from campaigning against the party that gave her the threshold she needed to get into parliament. The SODELPA president insists that Tambuya should be proactive and make positive contributions, as fellow SODELPA MP Simeone Rasova has been doing on the island, and not to continue to ramble on like a loose cannon. The SODELPA General Secretary has also come out to say that the party still has a strong backing from supporters in Kandavu.
There have been a few people talking about Kandavu pulling out, but they don't speak for the people of Kandavu. We have been in touch with the people.
Tambuya says the party president should be neutral. The MP goes on to say that Ratu Epenisa, as a traditional leader, has failed to unite the party for almost a year now and has not resolved the many grievances before him. The public squabble between Tambuya and the party hierarchy has escalated, leaving its supporters with more questions than answers and a way forward. Lina Rees, FBC News.
And we now join Lina Rees live from outside the SODELPA headquarters. Lina, things have really escalated this afternoon. What's happening within the party?
Edwin, indeed, shots have been fired between the SODELPA hierarchy and MP Linda Tambuya, and this is worrisome for the party's reputation and the supporters who are closely watching the development a year out from elections. Now, I am joined by SODELPA MP Linda Tambuya. Clearly, Ms. Linda, thank you for joining us, and clearly you're not happy with the party's leadership. Why is it that you won't just leave?
Thank you. You know, the party does not belong to the leadership. It belongs to the members. It belongs to the people. And so I'm really here raising issues about the people. So leaving is just not an option for me right now. I have to raise these issues because these are important. These are important for democracy within the party, being able to have my free speech to raise these issues. And these are really issues that affect the very heart of SODELPA, and that is our Vanua base, with the exclusion of our constituencies, Kandavu, and Lomaiviti, and they need to be represented, and that's what I'm standing up for. So leaving is just a cop-out. Anyone that leaves because they can't deal with issues, to me, is a cop-out. So I'm really here to hopefully get the attention of the leadership, and that they will actually act on what they need to do.
Some within the hierarchy say that you won't leave because you would be giving up your parliamentary privileges, it would make you insignificant, and it's something that SODELPA gave to you since joining the party. Your comments on this?
Well, thank you. I mean, it's never been about the money for me, being in politics. It's always been a calling. I worked at USP as a lecturer for law, and, I received a higher pay than what I'm receiving at Parliament, and I enjoyed that very much. But, like I said, this is a calling for me, and it's not about the money. I'm very happy to easily give it up, but it's about the members, and it's about the people, our voters. Right now, there is a void in leadership, and our people are looking for an alternative. They're disappointed with the way things are right now, and they're looking for a viable alternative for a party to be government next year. And I just don't see that with SODELPA right now. So I'm airing my grievances about this so that our leaders can do something about it. I am the biggest fan of SODELPA. In fact, I'm here to be helpful. And so, by raising these issues, and then there's been, defensive approach against me, there's been personal attacks against me, but it's not about me. It's about our people and about preparing for the elections.
There you have it, Edwin, from SODELPA MP. She's standing up for the people.
Nakalina. An overwhelming turnout was recorded at the Vodafone Arena today, with hundreds of people lining up from morning until later in the afternoon hoping to get vaccinated. Some travelled all the way from Nosori as vaccines ran out at their nearest centre. Koroi Tandulala reports.
Could you please lift up your sleeve, madam? Could you press the swab for me, please?
Fijians were determined to get their COVID-19 jab today.
We went down to Nosori Health Center. It was closed, no vaccine. So we came down to 9 miles. There were no vaccine there too. So my husband told me, you go down to Vodafone Arena.
I just came first to the health center in Raiwanga and then they said go to here. So I just came here and
For some, the jab is not only for their protection, but also a ticket to visit their family members outside Fiji when border opens.
My first trip I want to make to India. So we'll see how it works.
like I want to go and see my children and I've been stuck here for 2 years.
The turnout today at Vodafone Arena far exceeds the expectation of the Ministry of Health as Fijians flock in numbers to get vaccinated. Today is also the last day of registration and vaccination for the current batch, and the rest will have to wait for the next batch before they can be able to register and get vaccinated as well.
It's been 5 days and we've had very good response. Not just at the Vodafone Arena, but right across the country.
The Ministry of Health is reminding those that have received their first jab that it is necessary for them to get their second jab when the next batch arrives. Koroi Tandulala, FBC News.
And we now join Koroi live at the Vodafone Arena, which earlier today saw last-minute rush from Fijians wanting to be vaccinated. Koroi, has the ministry reached its target for round 1 of vaccination?
Thank you, Edwin. We spoke to the Permanent Secretary for the Ministry of Health, Dr. James Fong, just a few minutes ago, and he confirmed that they have reached their target of 50,000 vaccination. This means that there will be no public vaccination drive or program happening tomorrow. Now, when we arrived here, we understand that the closing ceremony for the public vaccination drive here at Vodafone Arena happened at around 5:30 p.m., which means the last few Fijians were able to get vaccinated before that. Edwin, it's also interesting to note that when we arrived here tonight, people were still driving in and others walking up to the main entrance of the Vodafone Arena, hoping that the vaccination drive is still continuing. This is a positive sign, as it shows how enthusiastic Fijians are of getting their COVID-19 jab.
Koroi, there's going to be a special vaccination on Monday for which some doses have been set aside. What's happening?
Edwin, the Permanent Secretary, did not about the specific group. However, he did say that their team will be going out from Monday onwards to reach these specific people that the ministry has identified, and they will be going out to vaccinate them wherever they live. And the ministry says that this is also part of the program that has already been organized from a few weeks back. Edwin.
Pinaka Koroi, with an ultimate target to get all Fijians vaccinated, the Ministry of Health might look at purchasing vaccines. Head of COVID-19 Task Force, Dr. Rachel Devi, says Fiji is just receiving 20% from the COVAX facility, which will only vaccinate a portion of the population. She says they are looking at different methods to secure more vaccines in a bid to ensure 100% coverage. Kritika Kumar reports.
Government will be purchasing vaccines to protect Fijians from a plague that has already claimed millions of lives around the world.
Absolutely. I mean, we're getting 20% from COVAX. That's just a portion of the population that we want to get vaccinated. The Fijian government and the Ministry of Health, we're all working towards securing more vaccines for the country.
With the global supply and demand issue, the ministry is setting aside second jabs to ensure it is given to Fijians on time.
Being mindful, the 100,000 doses equates to 50,000 people, because we're keeping that second dose.
United Nations Resident Coordinator Sanaka Samarasina says Fiji is part of the lucky few countries to have received the COVID-19 vaccine, while many developed nations are still trying to get their hands on the vaccine.
In a couple of days, you will mark the first anniversary of being COVID-free or COVID-contained, and that's a tremendous achievement.
He adds it's important to work with the communities to walk the last mile in reopening the borders. Kritika Kumar, FBC News.
Minister for Health Dr. Ifiremi Wangainambete is advising anyone who might be feeling side effects from COVID-19 vaccine to take Panadol. Some of the common side effects are joint pains and fever. Dipesh Kumar reports.
The health minister says that the ministry recommends Panadol since it does not interfere with the very thing the vaccine is trying to do.
So for those who who do feel a bit of fever, joint pains, please take Panadol as been advised, and make sure that you're well hydrated. But otherwise, a lot of people don't, as I've said earlier, and look forward to your next vaccine.
The minister says with the number of turnouts at the vaccination hubs, the anxiety some people feel about being vaccinated is decreasing day by day.
And I think the good numbers that we are seeing are showing that a lot of Fijians are embracing wanting to be able to protect themselves against COVID-19.
Meanwhile, those waiting in line for the jab at Vodafone Arena today said they were aware they might experience mild side effects of the vaccination.
Yeah, I'm aware. It's like all vaccines. They need to react, and that's how you know that they actually work.
Yeah, I'm fully aware, but we also need to understand that this is the most effective scientific creation right now that's going to help us.
It's totally depend on an individual, the reaction of that vaccinated to a particular person.
The health minister has reiterated that vaccinations will continue to be offered until the current supply is exhausted. After that, we will have to wait for the next shipment. Dipesh Kumar, FBC News.
Up ahead, drug man found guilty by Suva court. And Fiji blind school faces challenges. Welcome back. Canadian national Joshua Aziz Rahman has been found guilty of one count of unlawful possession of illicit drugs. The 26-year-old's conviction came after a lengthy judgment by the Suva High Court today. Pranita Prakash reports.
Joshua Aziz Rahman had in his possession 39.5 kilograms of white substance seized by police when they raided his Dombati Nasinu home in February 2019. These 39 bars found in his father's bedroom tested positive for cocaine with an estimated street value of $31 million. During the trial, Rahman said he was not aware of the drugs in the house. However, the High Court judge said that Rahman had been staying in the Dombati house since October 2017 and had control over the premises. He also said Rahman may not have been directly involved in his father's business, but he knew a lot about what his father, now jailed in New Zealand for importing methamphetamine, was doing. The matter has been adjourned to next Thursday for a sentence hearing. Meanwhile, Rahman's extradition ruling has been adjourned to the end of this month. Defense has asked for the extradition matter to be adjourned until Rahman is sentenced. The court was told that the extradition matter will become more clearer once the sentencing is handed down. This matter has been adjourned to the 30th of April. Pranita Prakash, FBC News.
Obtaining braille paper used in blind schools is a challenge. Most braille paper is expensive and not produced locally. Jeshulal reports.
Fiji School for the Blind head Sharmila Chandra says the braille paper is an important tool that helps the daily learning students.
The braille papers are an important learning tool for students. These learning tools are very vital for the learning and the development of the child. Without these braille papers, they're not able to do anything.
Braille paper has a special quality that enables it to hold braille imprints which are read by touch. It must be bought from overseas.
As you know, the braille papers are not found locally. These are basically imported from either New Zealand or Canada. We normally buy it from New Zealand or Canada. This is basically really help these students to better their education.
And we are not able to get it locally. We have to order from overseas, so the additional cost. So fundings for these types of aids would be really helpful.
More than $5,000 worth of braille papers was donated by the United Blind Persons of Fiji earlier this week to assist blind students in school. Jeshulal, FBC News.
The shift in the regional shipping services created an opportunity for Maersk to send one of their cargo fleet to Fiji. Maersk Nandi returned to the Fiji ports after 7 years. Christiana Uluwai reports this will hype up economic activity.
Maersk, one of the world's largest integrated logistics company, has returned to the Fiji ports for trade this week, a sign that wheels of global trade is once again spinning.
To get a vessel like this for us is something that we've been waiting for a long time. Even pre-COVID, we would love to operate our own vessels, but the way Maersk operated in the region determined that we would use slots on a partner's ship.
The arrival of Maersk Nandi will catalyze economic activity, creating competitions between retailers and also boosting our ailing economy.
Added an extra capacity in terms of volume, vessel capacity, and in terms of which can actually put in the competition in the Fijian market.
Shipping Services Fiji hopes that the arrival of Maersk Nandi will be of a great assistance in these trying times.
We'll give them some optimism, some hope that the economy needs to move on, needs to grow, and hopefully with controlled opening of borders, the Maersk Nandi will continue to trade and bring in cargo that the tourism industry will use, that all of the Fijian economy will use.
Maersk Nandi made port calls in Tauranga, Littleton and Timaru in New Zealand before arriving in Fiji. Christiana Uluwai, FBC News.
More former tourism workers are pleading with the Australian and New Zealand governments to work with Fiji in opening up a travel bubble. These Fijians, who are undertaking alternative work to sustain their families, say the only way they can go back to doing what they love is if our neighbouring countries have a travel bubble. Felipe Naikaso has more.
And New Zealand to work together with Fiji for this bubble.
This is the call that continues to come from those that have been left unemployed by the pandemic. Their only hope is that Australia and New Zealand open up to Fiji.
It would be a very big help. It will be a help to the country, to the nation of Fiji, and also to all the communities, especially to the community of Nandi.
The current situation for many is this: nothing on the grill and minutes or hours of waiting for a customer that may feel like an eternity, just so that they're able to earn some cash for their families. But they continue to remain optimistic about the current situation.
I have to provide for my family. I have to put food on the table. I have to meet all these payments and all.
While times may be bleak, the message of encouragement to others continues to come through as they hope New Zealand and Australia hear their cries.
Opening up that trade travel between New Zealand and Australia would definitely be an advantage for the people here in Fiji.
For many, they have been unemployed for a year, and only a travel bubble will be able to get their old jobs back. Felipe Naikaso, FBC News.
And later in sports, former school stars to be part of the Fiji finals.
A local manufacturing company is facing challenges in changing the mindset of the public to switch from styrofoam to paper products. Star Printry is the only company in Fiji currently manufacturing takeaway containers, straws and cups out of paper from scratch after the government's announcement to ban styrofoam in a bid to save our environment. Ritika Pratap has more.
It took the company around 9 months in research and planning to be able to design and bring in appropriate machinery for the paper products.
When you look at things like shopping bags, plastic-made shopping bags, how long does it take to decompose? You're looking at 200 to 1,000 years. Styrofoam, it'll never decompose. As compared to, say, paper, you're looking at 2 to 6 weeks.
The company has spent around $5 million in this transition and has created an additional 15 employment. They are hopeful that more businesses will turn to buy Fijian-made and use paper products.
Like I said, it's about the mindset. Because the government has extended the time period. Previously, it used to be January 1st, where styrofoam and plastic products would be banned. But now, because they've extended to August, a lot of people are still taking advantage of that time frame and still buying the same.
Pre-COVID and COVID times, there are so many new businesses starting up, and they need solutions. We've been able to do that.
Star Printry has been in operation for 35 years and is using social media platforms and the local media to create awareness on environmentally friendly paper products. Ritika Pratap, FBC News.
Here, the local exchange rates as set early this morning. It was the usual story on the money markets today. As the Fiji dollar rose against all of the major international currencies, it declined against the regional currencies of the Aussie and Kiwi dollars, as well as the PNG Kina. Prices were up on the commodities market. Oil continued to climb above $63 a barrel. Gold jumped up by $25 to $1,762 per ounce, and silver closed higher at $25.81 per ounce. We now join I do apologize. We now join Sharon from HFC Bank with the latest from the money markets.
Hello there. Looking at the latest in market, the US dollar index was little changed as investors balanced positive retail sales data against a continued drop in treasury yields. Retail sales were up 9.8% last month. The treasury yields, on the other hand, have fallen as the US Federal Reserve reaffirms its commitment to holding rates near zero for years to come. Meanwhile, stats released today showed that China's economic recovery may be on track. Their GDP jumped a record 18.3% in the first quarter. The increase in GDP is perhaps the strongest since at least 1992. Their recovery have been led by export strength and a steady pickup in consumption. Next week is expected to be a busy week for the traders, with major focus being on our Aussie and Kiwi counterparts. The Reserve Bank of Australia will release their meeting minutes, while New Zealand will release its inflation data. And that's all for this week from your HFC Bank. Have a great weekend.
Rehabilitation of Kodhoma Village School in Gamea, which was totally destroyed by TC Winston in 2016, is nearing completion. Construction work was delayed after the initial contractor left the project halfway into completion. Eleanor Turangaiviu was in Gamea today and files this report.
After 5 years of having classes in tents, vacant homes and the village church, the students of Kodhoma Village School in Gamea will soon enjoy new school facilities.
Vanua is really happy because it has been a long time coming. Even the children are anticipating the completion of the construction.
Since 2018, the village church has been used to hold classes for years 5, 6, 7 and 8. 2 other vacant homes have been used to hold classes for years 1 and 2 and 3 and 4.
The children are having classes there temporarily while the rehabilitation of the school was happening. They managed to start the construction in 2018.
Construction work on the new school buildings, which includes 9 classrooms, 2 duplex quarters, a kindergarten classroom, an office and library, and an ablution block, started in 2019 and will be completed in a couple of weeks.
We want to thank government for its support towards the education for our children. We never imagined that we would get classrooms like this.
Kodhoma Village School currently has a roll of 60 students from years 1 to 8. Eleanor Turangaiviu, FBC News.
That is the latest from my end, but coming up after the break, we meet a different type of driver who is transporting Fijians. Stay with us.
Welcome back. Over 40 youth who participated in the International Union for Conservation of Nature Global Summit have been urged to think globally and act locally. Regional Program Coordinator Andrew Foran says there have been several Talanoa sessions across the country and the region with those who joined virtually. Details with Josiah Nanunga.
Various Talanoa sessions among youth have strengthened Fiji's approach in the fights against climate change, particularly using traditional knowledge.
Fiji is hit on a winning formula where they use a nature-based solution in their seawalls, where they're planting vetiver grass behind the seawalls, they're using local boulders, and they're putting mangroves in front of it. So it's a mix of that traditional hard infrastructure.
The input was overwhelming and powerful from young climate warriors who have the passion as well as the drive to conserve our environment.
We must start at the community level, and some of the examples given from the youth and from the experts were mangrove planting initiatives for coastal communities and to implement disaster risk reduction policies to safeguard vulnerable communities.
More action is expected in collaboration with government and relevant stakeholders to protect identified marine areas, support plastic ban policy, among others. The summit is a build-up to the World Conservation Congress, which will be held in France later this year. Jose Yananunga, FBC News.
Waking up at 4 a.m. every day to deliver water taxi services to villages in the Rewa Delta is a passion Meli Kama loves doing for years now. The father of two is one of the oldest drivers, who transport people to the island of Rewa. At the same time, drives to provide for his family. Sainyani Boila reports.
It's what makes us happy that matters. For Meli Kama, ensuring that Rewa villagers are transported safely from Nesali landing to their various villages and vice versa continues to make him smile.
I have been doing this work for years now. I love to see the happy faces of villagers when they reach their places safely. This is what motivates me to serve them every day.
The Rewa native says the job also helps him provide for his family, especially during the current pandemic. He says it's all about hard work and dedication.
This is all about doing your best. I work even when it rains. It's all about knowing that you show the world your worth.
Rewa villager Wamembola Koro says Kama works every morning until the afternoon and they feel safe with him.
Whenever we call him, he will come. We also feel safe with him.
Kama provides services to people of Nrekena, Lomanikoro and Nasilai, to name a few. Sainyani Boila, FBC News.
And with the COVID-19 vaccination coming to an end tomorrow, we caught up with Dr. Rachel Devi, the head of the COVID-19 task force.
So just in terms of the vaccination process, the public vaccination opened on Monday. How has the response been from Fijians in the past days?
Yes, good question. From Monday to Friday now, it's been 5 days and we've had very good response. Not just at the Vodafone Arena, but right across the country in all our health facilities. So I think we've had hundreds turn out to all of them, and yeah, we've been doing very well. Yeah.
Do you think the misinformation about the side effects of the COVID-19 vaccine is scaring people away from the vaccinations?
When we get vaccinated, we can have some side effects. Not necessarily we will, but we can have some side effects, and that's absolutely normal. And that is basically telling our body that the vaccines are working. It's developing the antibodies and basically trying to prepare the body to fight against the coronavirus in itself.
So what are some of the challenges that the health professionals have faced in terms of vaccinating Fijians?
Oh, well, we had to open our doors to this vaccination for more than 12 hours at some certain points. Yeah, so starting early, finishing late, preparing again for the next morning, getting some rest. But generally, they've been very passionate, very our staff have been very, just positive vibe with all the response from the community. And we know we want to protect our Fijians, so that's all what they're gearing up for, and that's what they've been doing in this past week. Not just past week, sorry, past 2 weeks now.
And let's catch up with Jamie now for the latest in sports.
Thanks, Ed, and good evening, Ed. In sports, young jet setter is out to make a mark. and thriller expected in Schools League final. This and more coming up. Defending Inc. Fiji Rugby Fairbrother Trophy champions Nandi will be banking on a young side when it defends its title tomorrow against Naitasiri. The team has named a young team with only a few experienced players by way of Naulian Dawai, Turuva Lume, Ron Katonivere, Cholame Lubebo and Mike Kelly Sivo. Vinina Rakautonga has more.
The jet setters are setting the focus on themselves first.
But for us, we have our local boys that came through our Nandi Rugby Club competition and also our franchise back in 2018 when we started. So it's bearing all the fruits now.
Nandi Rugby chair Sekove Tuila Kemba says their game plan is ready to be executed.
But when they play with big boys of rugby, they really step up. And it's in the mindset, it automatically ticks on from there.
Naitasiri says just like any other week, they are aware of the challenge that lies in weight.
And Nandi is a champion team, yeah. They won't give it in easily. We know we're going in for a fight. We've had the same experience before.
Nandi is currently second on the Scuba points table and they will play Naitasiri at 3 p.m. at Prince Charles Park. Venina Rakautonga, FBC Sports.
The Fiji Secondary Schools Rugby League Vodafone Cup Grand Final is shaping up to be one of the best in the competition's history. For someone who's been there from the start, Schools Rugby League has surely progressed. Aquila Dama with the story.
Only 4 schools started the journey in 2007, and now the competition is much bigger.
The past years I've been watching the Fiji Secondary School games, how it's started from a few supporters to see a full grandstand from quarterfinals to semi-finals last week. I'm so grateful.
Now there are 72 teams from 23 schools in Viti level, part of the FSSRL competition, and Rambele wishes some who were there from the start could be here to see the fruits of their hard work.
I wish that Mr. Musamas was here to witness how far rugby grew from 1992 till today.
Saturday's grand final will be quite historical because for the first time ever, a Fiji Secondary Schools Rugby League girls selection will play before the under-19 grand final.
The council is overjoyed with the inclusion of a women's fixture in the grand final. This will be the first time. The continuing process of expanding female participation at the schools level.
Ratu Kandavu Level School, Mba Provincial Freebird Institute and Nasinu Secondary School will battle in the under 15, 17 and 19 finals at the ANZ Stadium tomorrow. Aquila Dama, FBC Sports.
Some future Mbati and Bulikula stars are expected to be uncovered at the Fiji Secondary Schools Vodafone Rugby League Grand Final. 72 teams from 2 zones kicked off the season this year, and now the top 2 teams from each grade will face off at the ANZ Stadium tomorrow. FSSRL board member Daniela Vakamode says this is a good opportunity for these young players to showcase their talents that's been evident over the past 3 months. Vakamode says at the end of the day, the league body is confident of citing potential national players.
So only the best teams are here, the best and the well-prepared team together with their coaches. So as I've already mentioned, they are here to showcase their talent. Who knows? They might be the next William Mekikau, or they might be the next Mike Sivo.
Former Coca-Cola Games competitors will be present at this year's meet to help the many athletes prepare for events, give pointers and share experiences. As Venina Rakautonga reports, about 2,500 athletes are expected to participate in the 3-day event at the NZ Stadium next week.
This move is being backed as it will be good for the development of upcoming athletes.
The improvement in the schools now probably due to the fact that there are a lot of coaches in the next Fiji do go out to schools and coach. And on the day, during 3 days of competition, they're going to be there supporting not only their former schools, but supporting those athletes where they are coaching.
Meanwhile, before the Coca-Cola Games begins on Thursday, the Maritime Zone will be held here at the ANZ Stadium on Monday. Schools like Andi Maupa and the Via High School are already here for the Games. Former Fijian athlete Albert Miller says he can't wait to see new talent at the Games.
Maybe there's another Mpanove out there somewhere. And I think it's just exposure and the proper training, you know. Sometimes we hear very good prospects from the rural schools, and before you know it, they're in a bigger school.
The Coca-Cola Games will begin next Thursday at the NZ Stadium in Suva. Venina Rakautonga, FBC Sports.
In today's play of the day, Pakistan captain Babar Azam proving why he's the best one-day international batsman. Here's his 2 big hits that brought up his century against South Africa. That's it from Sports Tonight. Angie joins you next with weather and the rundown of what the weekend's looking like with all those games coming up. This and more after the break.
A big hello to you and welcome to the Weather World. It's Friday. What a time to enjoy and relax. Well, I hope you loved it as it's everyone's favorite day. Now, seeing the weather flow, do you notice how the weather is adapting to new conditions? It's like 2 systems coming together. Now, let's quickly see what the rest of the country had today. The west had beautiful weather. It was a deep-looking low for Nandi at 24 degrees. Supposedly, the night will be quite chilly. Eastwards from Peck Harbour to Suva, the difference in weather pattern was obvious. After massive sunshine, the cloudy period stopped by, and currently we are having those conditions. Rain will be a bother tonight. And moving closer to the north, the wind gusts were normal, gusting to 20 knots. In all, the weather was settled, no worries of rain. The places we will be looking today is Nausori, Ba and Sabu Sabu. Ba has 69% humidity, and that is because of the temperature at 33 degrees. Our friend Billy was feeling a bit hot as well because it felt like 37 degrees in Ba. At sea, southeast winds 15 to 20 knots, moderate seas. Now turning to the tides, high waters at 9:48 p.m. with low waters at 3:37 a.m. Sunrise at 6:16. For tomorrow, unfortunately, band of rain will walk through for the eastern areas. So like I said, if you're heading to the grounds or simply just going out to do your marketing or shopping, grab those brollies. And looking further onto Sunday, the Eastern Division is still under the shower radar, but those are odd showers and it won't matter much. Now on to our shot of the day. It is from the salad bowl of Fiji sent in by Sita Sorenivalu. Remember to send us pictures. I want to see you, your family or your friends having a good time together. Send it with a small description to our FBC News Facebook page. That's all from the Weather World. After Fijian Pulse, you will get to see a first ever milk river. How exciting? Stay tuned.
Thanks, Angie. In Fijian Pulse, we ask, what do you think of the Fijian Drewers' inclusion in the 2022 Super Rugby Tournament?
According to my instincts, it's very good because to develop more and create more opportunities for local rugby players and who's playing in the February and Skipatuni.
I think yes, it'll be a good opportunity for them to take part in the Super Rugby.
Yeah, I think it's quite an achievement for the Drua to play for the 2022 Super Rugby.
I think it'll be good for the players and it'll benefit the economy as well.
It's a good opportunity for local players to showcase their talent.
A tanker that crashed into a river in West Wales spilled thousands of litres of milk and turned the water white, but it's now been recovered. The milk tanker ran off the road and into the river Dulais at around midday on Wednesday. Natural Resources Wales said there had been significant discoloration along the river after the tanker spilled its load. And recapping our main stories, is this the final straw in the SODELPA falling out? Fijians rush in for the jab today, and schools rugby league final heats up. For these stories and others, you can tune in to our sister radio station Gold FM. To our poll question this week, we are asking, is bullying an issue that needs to be reported to police? Visit our FBC News website to answer. You can send us newsworthy pictures and videos. Email fbcnews@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via our social media accounts Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. You can also download our app to keep updated with the latest in news and sports and listen to our 6 radio stations live. That's your news this evening. I'll see you again next week. Until then, stay safe. Modemanda.